Jonathan Fu is the dominant run and gun champion in Western Texas, winning Mystery Operations Championship as well as most of the 6 events outright, along with the 77 two-gun event for 2023 and 2024. He's proven to be one of the fastest and most versatile shooters you're going to meet. Surprisingly, his training and equipment is not what you would typically imagine for a top shooter. Also, I didn't even know most of the success while I was doing the interview. I ended up finding out about it myself later. He is not one to talk about himself. I'd like to know a little bit more about like where you train, how you train, um, how often you're able to get out.
I think it's so important to know your purpose before you get into figuring out how you want to train, et cetera, because that dictates what you should be doing, what you need to be doing to get where you are. I don't know, who you are as a person. So if you ask me, hey, Jonathan, how do you train? What should I be doing? I don't know. I can't answer that question honestly, right? It'll be very intellectually dishonest of me if I gave you just out of the blue, not knowing who you are and what your purpose was, insight into my training and said, hey, you should go do this too.
For those that are looking to be better at the sport, what recommendations do you have for them for training? If
Sure,
you're
good
going
question.
in, you want good times, um, you want to be able to be versatile and the different situations that run and guns throw at you.
I'll share my route, which is a very odd and not recommended route. And then I'll share like perhaps a more streamlined route. So um, I started off shooting, I had a Glock and I had a wonderful three-gun community, and I had no interest in buying a three-gun shotgun. So they wouldn't let me shoot all the stages except the long range, obviously, with my Glock iron sights. And they were 150-yard base, so we were shooting 150-yard targets, right? And I looked like an idiot, and I looked really silly out there, and a lot of people were like, "This is odd," but so that really helped me. Okay, that really accentuated every little mistake I would make with my pistol. It's okay to use performance as practice as long as you go in there with the correct mindset. If you go in there, so I would go into three gun with my pistol, or even when I borrowed a carbine from someone, right? I'm still a poor, that's okay. And so maybe this will help my fellow poors and people that don't have enough funds or energy to allocate to shooting sports. I would go in there and go, okay, my entire purpose for this one stage is to practice this one position. And instead of taking a more advantageous position over there, after I address these four targets, I'm going to continue shooting from this position, even though it's not advantageous to do that, because I want to practice this one thing and get good at this one thing under stress in real time, not in the comfort of my own home, not when no one can see me drop my gun because I try to draw it too quickly on dry fire, right? This is under real time conditions. And I think there's something to be said for that. Now, again, harking back to what I mentioned earlier, do I think this is right for everyone? No. Is this the most streamlined, quickest approach to get better at running gun? No. This is one way that I built up my fundamentals. If you show up to a community, right, as a new shooter and you want to learn things, right, from people, find the humble, find the humble person, right? Find the humble expert, right? Don't find the braggart. So I found that in USPSA, right? So if you ask me personally, Paxton, overarchingly, not knowing the person, not knowing the purpose, but knowing the goal of, hey, I'm a new person. My goal right now is to be better at running gun. I would say, well, running gun includes usually a pistol and a rifle. So how do you be better at pistol skills? Go find a community that will teach you what you need to do to be better at those the little minutia things, right? How to grip a pistol, how you personally grip a pistol. Oh, is your left arm injured from an old injury? Okay, this is modification. These are modifications we can do. And then for a rifle, go find a two gun, right? It's like the same thing as USPSA, but you just stretch the distance out. A lot of times you're in natural terrain. It's great. It's very, very conducive to the same environment that running gun does. Go find a two gun. A lot of three gun now offers two gun divisions, you know? And again, focus on your purpose. You don't have to go every month, right? You can just go one or two things and get a lot from that and then work on those things and then go back, right? So what I'm saying is that if you don't have a lot of time to do that, right, you it is okay. I give you permission, we all give each other permission to use performance as practice. Now, again, you have to use it carefully in the right way, right? So, and there are pros and cons to each, right? The big pros of using performance as practice is you can dry fire at home, right? For 10 minutes a day, because you're very busy. Let's say the busy person, you're dry fire 10 minutes a day, try different barricade stuff using your chairs at home, and then you go to three gun once a month and use performance as practice. And you go, I'm going to focus on building this one position and this one tank trap for targets that are, on an incline and on a decline. The pro of that is when you get done with that, you can ask your peers immediately, hey, you're an expert at this. What could I have done better? Right? You
Exactly.
can pull your peers, right? You're not in an isolated, you're not an island, right? You're not just listening to some guy online getting advice from one person, right? You have a huge um, set of skills all standing behind you, right? That can feed into it. And then um, obviously the con is that because you're so focused on that one thing and you're just developing that one thing, you might not win that stage. You might not even finish that stage because there are part times to three guns, so we're not there forever. And that's okay. Because again, my purpose is not to win three gun. My purpose is develop this one skill that I bring to running gun. Right. And then if you do have time, for the people that do have time, yes, go to those competitions, get what you need, do the drills. One drill I recommend is go out there, take an A4 sheet size of paper, put it at 25 and 50 yards, right? No target, just a blank piece of paper, and then do your draws however you want, right? You can do it with time and without time. Both are very valuable and teach you different things. As in, you can use a timer or without a timer, and then shoot 5 rounds at 25 yards into that 25-yard paper, and then shoot 5 rounds into that 50 yards separately or at the same time. What really I'm focused on this drill for newcomers or non-newcomers is, can you visualize that small point on that blank piece of paper at 25 yards? Can you engage it successfully, right? On the A4 size of paper, I would say a good shooter, irrelevant of time, should be able to shoot with a mechanically accurate enough gun. Let's say your gun can do 3 inches at 25 yards. Well, then you should be able to shoot everything within a 6-inch radius at 25 yards on the A4 size piece of paper with no target, no dot, no markings on it, right? And then at 50 yards, I just want all shots to be on paper.
What do you run?
Okay, so I brought it up here. Thank goodness I don't have to run down. So I said earlier I was a pourer. I'm not kidding. So I'll start from the belt. This is my belt. This is a Bianchi old school fuddy duddy belt. I've worn this since day one of running gun, and this is my second one. It costs $20. Okay, it's just a Velcro belt, and then I put little keepers on it, like the cable ties,
Yeah.
to so that it doesn't fall apart on the race. I'm not saying do this. I'm saying that this is what I use. Okay,
Yeah.
this is personal. I'm not recommending it to anyone. All I'm saying is this is what I use.
I love it.
Okay, my pistol holster, I shoot a Glock, right? And then since there are no divisions, I slapped a dot on it. I'm usually an iron sight shooter, but since there are no divisions, I'm like, cool, use every advantage you can, slap a dot on it. So I use a Glock with a red dot on it, and then this is my holster. It's also a no name. I put a Blade Tech. This was $20, and I don't. Am I telling newcomers to not use retention? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying this is what I use. Has my gun ever fallen out? Not a single time. Have I been upside down many times on ladders, or tire walls? Yes. Right. Have I crawled in mud? Yes. Has my pistol fallen out? No. I'm saying that you can be successful. You don't need $100 holster. Do you have to do things to be successful if you buy a $20 holster to make sure that it's secure? Yes. Okay. That's your responsibility too. Right. Would I recommend level 3 or level 2 for a newcomer? Absolutely. This is also a Blade Tech, really old. And all this equipment I've used since day one. This is my Glock mag pouch, right? This costs $25, right? And it goes back to like the earlier comment I made on like the evolution of gear,
Yeah.
right? Um, I'll just say this one thing with I don't want to bash anyone. I've never dropped a mag out of these. These you can adjust the retention. I've picked up entire S-Tech mag pouches with the mag in it. And we also saw at one of our races last year, when there was a pond crossing, one of our friends, his dad came, had a brand new STI, 5 brand new magazines he's never used, loaded to the full. He went into the river and immediately all 5 from his waist out of
Mm.
the SX pouches fell into the drink. That was like over $500. That's a whole lock,
Yeah.
and it was not recoverable. So make sure I'm not trying to bash anyone. I'm saying, you know, there's a lot of validity and there are a lot of reasons why competition people use certain things. And then it goes through that life cycle and then it gets watered down by people who just slap cam on it. So be cognizant of your gear, where it came from, and what its purpose is. This is the bag I use. This is the same bag I used since day one. This is the second one. So the first one lasted through 4 years of running guns. This is $20 on Amazon. Okay, it's just a hydration pack, and I stuff my mags in here, and in here in the mesh, you can see it's like pretty torn up. Um, that's pretty much it, Paxton. So,
What's your rifle?
my rifle. So I have 2 rifles. One's a rifle, and the other's a backup rifle to it. It's just a regular AR-15, nothing fancy. I did put not Chinese glass on it because I don't want it to break that easily. And that's about it. 16-inch barrel, 1.6 LPVO, and it's pretty boring. Yeah, that's
Well,
about
clearly
it.
does the trick. Would you wear a chest rig at all?
I prefer not to because I'm terrible at running, and any compression, additional compression to my chest, um, you know, I it doesn't help me to breathe. So, and then sometimes when you go through obstacles or you're dragging yourself through mud, like there is a WTF at Waco, there's a 8-foot wall. And a lot of times, when you try to go up the wall, I see a lot of people with chest rigs. It actually impedes them from being able to launch themselves over the wall.
Mhm.
But my main purpose, in not using a chest rig is that I'm not a fit person. So any kind of weight on my chest, I have to do more. I have to put more energy into breathing. So,
So then to get a another rifle magazine, you just one strap it, reach in, grab it out.
oh, great question. Yeah, so I have a Blade Tech mat carrier, the single mat carrier, and that's also $20. Really available to everyone. Highly recommend it. You can adjust the retention as to how much resistance it takes, how much force it takes to pull out. And so I carry one, yes. So I carry one spare, and then I'll have one in my pocket, right? On the go, I'll grab one from my pocket. That way I have my reload on my belt, and then I have one reload. So my purpose also is to discipline myself, right? So if I typically a stage, you won't need more than one mag. But if you have to go to the, backup mag and you go through that, you should just stop shooting, right? Because this is run and gun. I mean, seriously, because again, purpose comes into
There's some
play
truth to
because
that. Yeah.
at 3-gun, you can just blast until the part time beeps, right? At run and gun, we have to conserve our ammunition. And that's a great lesson that run and gun taught me is, hey, I've stopped. So I'll give you an example. Wonderful RO, Tommy Newton, was ROing this night match. I ran up to the very first stage. I fired maybe 4 rounds and I go, that's it for me, Tommy. Thanks. DNF the stage. Because I fired the first 3 rounds and said, those are good. Those are good shots. And I'm not hitting the target. And then I thought about it a little bit and it changed a few things. And I took a 4th shot and I go, it's not happening. I don't know. In this instance, in this very moment in time, I've done all I could. So I'm not going to keep launching rounds downrange, right? Because it's a waste of energy, it's a waste of time. So I just took the DNF.
You do well across a whole bunch of events across Texas. You've won the 7-7 twice. now, the two of two, and I love how contrarian you are, of like buck all the, need the fancy thing, need the high speed thing, need the whatever's more expensive. I mean, you even said you're an iron sight person. Um, I I think it's absolutely perfect for someone like you to explain that it is your experience, it is your ability, not your gear.